Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fall. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Pia Chamala, an account manager for a software company here in Charleston. He is currently supporting Senator Sanders. Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Hey now, Senator Warren. Welcome to Charleston.
Thank you.
During the Nevada debate, you and every other candidate on the stage, except for Bernie, hello somebody, indicated that the candidate with the plurality of delegates should not necessarily be the nominee.
Uh-huh.
This essentially means the will of the voters could be denied by the superdelegates and the DNC, which is basically undemocratic. And in my opinion, is a bunch of baba booey, to put it politely. Can you explain why the will of the voters should not matter if no candidate reaches a majority of delegates?
So you do know that was Bernie's position in 2016?
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah.
He won 22 states, so he went to the convention
that was
for his
Bernie's
voters.
position in 2016, that it should not go to the person who had a plurality.
Okay.
So, and remember, his last play was to superdelegates. So the way I see this is you write the rules before you know where everybody stands, and then you stick with those rules. So for me, Bernie had a big hand in writing these rules. I didn't write them. But Bernie did when they were putting together the 2016 platform for the Democratic Convention. Those are the rules that he wanted to write and others wanted to write. Everybody got in the race thinking that was the set of rules. I don't see how come you get to change it just because he now thinks there's an advantage to him for doing that.
That's going to be a big, huge issue for us. And by us, I mean anybody who doesn't want to see another 4 years of Donald Trump. The convention is going to be tricky. Tricky. I told you, the rules of the convention as they are, say that the nominee must have received 50% plus one of the delegates, the pledged delegates, the ones that you're voting for. So there are 1,991 delegates that we are voting for. In order to have 50% plus one, you divide that number in half, that would be 995.5. You can't have a half a vote. So we need 996 delegates to go to any candidate, a candidate. If no candidate gets 996 pledged delegates by virtue of our voting in primaries, then we are going to have a contested, brokered convention, because the rules say that the person who has the plurality, meaning not a majority, but the most delegates, gets nothing. No nomination. And then you have to have a second vote. And once you have a second vote, all of the delegates, like it or not, these are the rules that the Democratic Party has agreed to. And this is why I think it's very twisted and very sick, this party. And people will yell at me, you have to support the party. I cannot support that party. I can't support the party. But the party rules say that the second vote will be taken if no candidate has 996 pledged delegates. And in the second vote, the superdelegates, they get to pick. And they're not pledged to anybody. And also, the people who are pledged through our voting for them, because that's really what you're voting for, is the delegate. The person who swore to represent Bernie or Elizabeth or Amy or Biden or anybody, they're now free. They're free to vote for whoever they want. So do you see how much trouble it could be Because if Bernie, who seems to be ahead in all of the polling that I looked at, Real Clear Politics has a crap load of polls. Now, I'll admit polls are a snapshot in time. But if the polls hold and Bernie gets, let's say, 900 delegates, and nobody even comes close to that number, that's what we call a plurality without a majority, and we would go to a second vote. And that will tear this party apart. Because all of the Bernie voters will sit it out in a general election if Bernie does not get the votes of the superdelegates having gone into the convention with 900 votes, but not 996. If Bernie goes into the convention with 940 votes, 950 votes, 980 votes, 994 votes, pledged delegates, but not 996, and there is a second vote, our voters get torn apart. Our voters get torn a freaking apart. Because I will tell you that the New York Times spoke to 93 of the 771 superdelegates. Who are the superdelegates? They are party establishment. They are party people. They are strategists and aides to Democrats who serve. They are the Democrats who serve. They're the House members, the Senate members, their staff. Yeah, it's establishment Democrats. And they have said, of the 93 of the 771 that the New York Times interviewed, only 9 of them say that Sanders should become the nominee based on arriving at the convention with a plurality. Meaning if he doesn't get 996, but he gets 994, they don't think that he should get the nomination. And that is going to be bizarre. But I will tell you that Bernie Sanders and his team, after 2016, were at the table and negotiated these rules and agreed to them. That's what Elizabeth Warren was talking about last night at this town hall. Bernie Sanders did agree to them. Now, they may have been a compromise for his group that negotiated these rules, but they, in the end, agreed to this compromise. And the compromise is that you have to get 996 delegates when you arrive at the convention, or else there's a second vote. It's where we are. It's just the rules. And that's what she was saying in that clip. I'll play it for you again, okay? I'm going to just play it one more time. Because this is, deep politics, party politics. But these are the rules. And she explained that. She said Bernie agreed that a plurality is not enough to get the nomination.
Pia Chamala, an account manager for a software company here in Charleston. He is currently supporting Senator Sanders. Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Hey now, Senator Warren. Welcome to Charleston.
Thank you.
During the Nevada debate, you and every other candidate on the stage, except for Bernie, hello somebody, indicated that the candidate with the plurality of delegates should not necessarily be the nominee.
Uh-huh.
This essentially means the will of the voters could be denied by the superdelegates and the DNC, which is basically undemocratic. And in my opinion, is a bunch of baba booey, to put it politely.
Okay, Howard Stern.
Can you explain why the will of the voters should not matter if no candidate reaches a majority of delegates?
So you do know that was Bernie's position in 2016?
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah.
He won 22 states, so he went to the convention.
That was
for his
Bernie's
voters.
position in 2016, that it should not go to the person who had a plurality.
Okay.
So, and remember, his last play was to superdelegates.
She is correct about that. And that is a hard, cold party political fact about what we're facing in Milwaukee at the convention. Should no candidate get 996 pledged delegates through our primary votes? Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.